10 minutes till 7, where you see S&P futures are at 1364.15 currently. In Globex, we can see that we traded up to 1359.75 on Friday. So looking at this channel that we've been in, TSI is at an extreme oversold area and should start to turn. A lot of indicators are in oversold territory, NYMO, NYMO, and so forth. And we can see that the S&P futures are continuing to climb. Okay, catching a lot of shorts off guard. We can see that all of our moving averages are moving lower, and if we throw our fibs on here, we can see where we are. Okay, at in between the 50% and the 618. Okay, bouncing off of this trend line, got a nice reversal candle on Friday, and we could look to the next group of fibs from this high down to this low. My target here 1388.51, or more than likely the 50% level. We could see a nice move up to this area here before we see any move down or a breakout higher. Okay, looking at NYMO, we can see that we had a nice extreme level in the almost minus 100, which is very close to the May lows, where we saw the bounce. Okay, you can see that low here that we put in. Looking at the May lows, we can see that we had May-June, we had this move down. Note that we could see a move up and then a move lower before we see a move in the opposite direction, which we saw in May-June. Okay, where we had a rally up, we failed, came back down, took out this low. Right, so we could see a move up and a move back down lower. All right, that's in the cards. It's possible. And something to look out for. Looking at the Nasdaq Summation Index, we want to see a crossover like we saw here and here back in June. This was a buy signal. We want to see the same thing here. Possible we could see this as the end of day, of course, so we could see this possibly tomorrow or in the very near future. What we want to see is the Nasdaq bullish percents, which are, many of them are in extreme territory. The comp, okay, we're down in the 45 where we're near the June lows. It's very possible we'll turn tomorrow. Okay, the discretionaries, same lows. Okay, we haven't quite got down to that level yet, so watch the discretionaries. Energy, we can see energy held up a little bit better, the June lows here, and we're still up at these highs. Financials held up better as well. Okay, we're up at 70s, and this is the lows that we saw in June, July. Healthcare is down at the 57 level. 47 was the low, so we'll watch that. The industrials, okay, we're up here at the 57, and this is the low down in May-June. Technology, okay, we've held up somewhat well. The lows back in May-June. And let's look at the staples. One of the ones I want to really point out, lows here as well. Okay, we haven't got down to that level yet, was the telecom sector. We're looking at some oversold stocks in the telecom. A lot of this has to do with Verizon, of course, getting hit really bad in Manhattan and missing their numbers because of the Hurricane Nancy. Okay, going back to the composite, we can see have really sold off quite substantially down below Kumo. Okay, no Chiku is turning, and stochastics is oversold. Disregard these notes. This is from an older chart. Want to see a TK cross, and we can see a move back up to this trend line, which is what we're talking about with the S&P. Note the carry trade still doing fairly well. Okay, we broke above these highs here, and we came back down and almost tested it. All right, we're bouncing higher. The stochastics is moving a little bit lower. You want to see this moving higher, higher lows, higher highs, which would be good for the stock market. Municipal bonds. Now we're in you can see this channel up now. Municipal bonds are in this upward trending channel. Okay, we came off of this level. We could see municipal bonds move a little bit lower. Stochastics is pointing south as well. TLT, GTO was talking about that last week. We broke above this channel, all right, and we're above the cloud, but we are overbought, and we could see a move back down to the top of this Kumo, or if we continue to just slide down, we could break down through this Kumo again, come down and retest this breakout. Okay, so see a move down to this point, and then a move higher. Stochastics are really overbought, so something to keep in mind. We want to keep an eye on Russell, of course. The Russell 2000 is a measure of risk on. These are higher beta stocks, these small caps. We're oversold and we're turning here. We have a nice crossover, but we want to give above the 20% level. Note this candle we put in on Friday, pretty much a double bottom there. We got Chiku turning as well, so keep an eye on the Russell. If this continues to move higher, that'll be faring good for stocks in general, as you'll see risk on. Okay, people taking more risk as these indexes start to move a little bit higher. Alright, so coming back to the ES, knowing that we're moving higher, okay, we have a high there, and we have this low we put on here, which also coincides with this high that we're coming up to really quickly, 1367. Depending on the strength here, we could see a move back in the other direction. Keep an eye on the US dollar. We're down below 81.26 currently on Globex. Let's keep an eye up for this to move a little bit lower back down to the 80.50 level, and possibly be putting in this right shoulder that we talked about in length back in the middle of summer. Looking at the dollar, as I mentioned before, the 81.26 level is right here. All right, so this is the 81.26 level that we ran into on Friday, and we came back up, retested it, and now we're moving lower. I wouldn't imagine that we won't come back up and test this again before we move lower, but it looks like the dollar is going to continue its weakness for the most part, depending on what happens over in Israel, of course. So keep an eye on the news as well. So that's the dollar. 81.26. The next level is the 80.48 level. Okay. Note that the 100 period has held price and it's moving lower. The 20 and the 50 are starting to turn. The 20 is moving higher, but the 50 is turning as well. So keep an eye on those two. Alright, so that's a synopsis and a look at the week ahead for the 18th of November. It's 7:05. Futures are still higher, and we're looking for this to move up into the 1388 to 1403 level, this upper trend line, and the 50% retracement. Okay? Watch for your TSI to turn, and I hope this helps. We'll talk to you in the room. Take care, and remember to use your stops.